There's a fundamental error running in your mind, right now, this very second. And it's not some bug you can just update or a thought you can ignore. No, this is a deep foundational line of code, and it's costing you your happiness, your peace, your freedom. And we're going to decode it. Not with modern psychology, but with a text thousands of years old that reads like a diagnostic manual for the human soul. No intro, no fluff. We're diving in right now.
I want you to really think about this. Picture your day, your week. You could get 10 pieces of amazing news, 10 compliments, 10 little moments of kindness. But it only takes one negative comment, right? One critical email, one person who cuts you off in traffic. And which one sticks? Which one is on a loop in your head when you're trying to sleep? It's the insult, isn't it? The criticism, the negative thing. Now listen really closely, because this is so important. This is not a personality flaw. It's not because you're weak or too sensitive. It's the default setting of the human mind. It's a survival mechanism that is brilliant at keeping you alive, but just terrible at making you happy. See, it's designed to scan for threats, to ignore the 99 good things and lock on to the one potential danger. And in our world today, that threat detector is just firing all the time, clinging to the negative like a magnet.
And this, right here, leads to the first big deception. From the day we're born, we're told, trust your thoughts. Listen to that voice in your head. Your mind is you. But what if that is the single biggest, most damaging lie we've ever bought into? What if the mind, in its natural, untrained state, isn't actually built for our happiness? What if it's just a tool, a powerful, chaotic tool, and we've mistaken the tool for the person using it? What if its main job is just survival, not joy, and we're just caught in the crossfire of its constant anxious chatter? We're always told to think our way out of problems, but what if thinking is the problem?
Okay, here's the second really unsettling question for you. You spend your whole life learning things. You collect facts, experiences, degrees, opinions, and you believe this is making you smarter, freer, more capable. But what if every piece of knowledge you gain, every label you accept, every single opinion you form is just another bar in a cage? A cage not made of steel, but of your own perceptions. A label like, oh, I'm an anxious person, becomes a bar. An opinion like, the world is a dangerous place, becomes another bar. And pretty soon, you're living inside this prison of your own making, and it's so familiar you don't even see the bars anymore. You think the cage is the world.
And that brings us to the third question, the one that really holds all of this together. We're all programmed to search for joy outside of ourselves, right? In the next achievement, the next relationship, the next thing we buy. The pursuit of happiness is the engine that drives our entire culture. But what if that whole search is just fundamentally flawed? What if real, unconditional joy isn't a destination you have to fight to get to? What if it's your factory setting, an innate state you were born with, like the clear sky of your own being that's just been forgotten, buried under years and years of mental noise and conditioning and worry, like a beautiful garden that's just been completely overgrown with weeds?
So here's the bottom line. The source of that quiet dissatisfaction we all feel sometimes, that low-grade anxiety, that feeling that something's just missing. It isn't the world. It's not your job or your money or your relationships. Those are just symptoms. The root cause is a fundamental error in how we perceive everything. It's a bug in our mental operating system. And an ancient text, the Shiva Sutras, identified this bug thousands of years ago. It's not a religious text, not really. It's more like a user manual for human consciousness. And it claims this error is running in your mind right now.
The sutras actually give this error a name. It's the pursuit of Sri. That's S-R-I. Sri. And what is that? It's that deep, unquestioned belief that if we can just get enough external stuff, enough wealth, enough success, enough followers, enough beauty, the perfect partner, then finally we'll be content. Then we'll feel whole. I mean, think about it. It's the engine driving almost everything we do. It's the promise whispered in every ad. It's the invisible script we are all following. But what if the destination it promises is just a mirage? What if the more you chase it, the farther away it actually gets?
And this quote, man, it just perfectly captures the trap. It's from a former Prime Minister of India, a man who had reached the absolute peak of Sri, power, fame, wealth, you name it. And in his later years, he confessed this. He remembered a time before all that success, when he was just a simple man who would sleep peacefully on a cot outside his home on a hot summer night, right under the stars. Now, as Prime Minister, living in a palace surrounded by guards and protocol, he felt like a prisoner. He was safer, richer, and more powerful than he'd ever been. But he wasn't free. He got everything he thought he wanted, and in doing so, he lost the one thing that actually mattered.
And this all leads to this, well,
It's a kind of terrible cosmic joke, and there's a simple story that explains it perfectly. So a man wins a huge lottery. His wife, worried the shock might give him a heart attack, asks their wise old priest for help to break the news gently. The priest goes to the man's house and starts a casual conversation. He says, "My friend, just suppose, what would you do if you suddenly won 10 lakh rupees?" The man's eyes just light up and he says, "Father, are you kidding me? I'd be so overjoyed I would give half of it to you in the church." And hearing this, the priest has a massive heart attack and dies on the spot. The very thing that was supposed to bring joy brings disaster. You see, the punchline of the joke is on all of us. Our desires are so often the source of our greatest suffering. So, what's the terrifying implication of all this? What does this actually mean for you? It means you are spending your entire life's energy, your vitality, your precious time, playing a game that might be fundamentally rigged against your own happiness. You follow all the rules society gives you, you chase Estri with everything you've got, but the end result, so often, is just this quiet sense of dissatisfaction, a low hum of anxiety, a feeling that something is always missing. But the Shiva Sutras don't just point out this rigged game. They offer a way to stop playing. They offer a way out of the prison.
Now, the text doesn't offer complex rituals or dogma. It just offers 3 keys, 3 fundamental shifts in how you see things that, when you really get them, dismantle the prison from the inside out. Let's look at the first one, the very foundation of this whole thing.
The first sutra is Chaitanya Matma. Let's break it down. Chaitanya Matma. It means consciousness is your true self. This is the bedrock. You are not your body, which gets old and changes. You're not your thoughts, which are just, they come and go like clouds in the sky. You're not your emotions, which are like weather patterns passing through. You are not your job or your memories. You are the pure, silent, unchanging consciousness that is aware of all those things. You are the sky, not the clouds. The sutras say that our normal state is like walking in our sleep, completely identified with the dream character, not realizing we're actually the dreamer. Your vitality, your aliveness, it's tied directly to how much you identify with this core consciousness, not with the static of your mind.
Okay, this next one, it's radical. It's going to sound completely backwards, and it directly speaks to that cage we talked about. The sutra is Jnanam Bandhaya. Jnanam Bandhaya. And it translates to limited knowledge is bondage. What on earth does that mean? It means the knowledge you get from your 5 senses, what you see, hear, taste, touch, and smell, is the very stuff that builds your prison. This knowledge is always limited. It's always in the past. It creates a world of, I like this, I hate that. It solidifies your identity and your opinions. This sensory, intellectual knowing is the very definition of bondage because it traps you in a world of opposites.
And this story just illustrates the point perfectly. A man is at work in his office, and his frantic friend calls and says, "Your house is burned to the ground." Instantly, the man is thrown into pure agony, despair, fear, loss. His reality is suffering. He is in bondage. A few minutes later, the friend calls back, super embarrassed. "I am so sorry, I got it wrong. It was your neighbor's house that burned down, not yours." Instantly, the man is flooded with this profound relief and joy. But now look at this from the outside. The reality of his house? It never changed. It was always safe. Nothing in the physical world was different from one moment to the next. Only a piece of information, jnanam, limited knowledge, created his entire world of suffering. And then a second piece of information took it all away. His bondage was created entirely by his mind, based on bad data.
The third key dissolves the ultimate illusion, the idea that we're all separate. Yoni Varga Kala Shariram. Yo ni Varga Kala Shariram. This means the entire universe of forms is essentially your body. This body you call yours? Guess what? It's not really yours. It's a temporary collection of stuff from the cosmos. The food you ate this morning was in a field yesterday, pulling nutrients from the earth. The air you're breathing right now was part of the sky a second ago. The water in your cells was once a cloud. The iron in your blood was forged in the heart of a dying star billions of years ago. Realizing this, that you aren't a separate thing in the universe, but a temporary expression of the universe, lets you stop identifying with the small, separate self and become a witness to the whole cosmic show.
So when you really get these 3 keys, you see there are 2 completely different ways to live this life. The first one, that's the default setting for pretty much all of us, the actor. The actor is totally lost in the drama. They believe they are the character they're playing. They get tossed around by every plot twist, every emotion, every line of dialogue. Their peace depends entirely on the scene going their way. The second way of being is the witness.
The witness has shifted their perspective. They're like an audience member watching the play of life unfold. They still see all the action, they still feel the character's emotions, but deep down they know it's a play. They're not the character. This doesn't mean you're detached or you don't care. It just means you are no longer a slave to the drama. You can experience everything life has to offer without being destroyed by it.
So if you are the witness, what are you actually witnessing? Well, the sutras say our inner world isn't just chaos. It has a structure, a geography, a hidden map. And that map isn't in your head. It is located directly in your physical body. And this, right here, is a total game changer. Your emotions aren't just abstract feelings or stories. They are real physical energy that you can locate and observe.
This is the map, and you can check this out in your own experience, right now. Let's actually walk through this together. When you feel a flash of intense anger or irritation, where do you feel it? Notice that energy, that heat, the pressure that just ignites right between your eyebrows. Now think of a time you felt deep grief or even deep gratitude. Notice the sensation in your throat, maybe a choking feeling, a lump. The energy of both moves right through there. What about love, or its opposites, fear and hatred? They all create a very distinct sensation, an expansion or a contraction, right in the center of your chest, in your heart. Jealousy, possessiveness, or even a big burst of joyful laughter. Notice how that creates a sensation in your stomach, a churning or a lightness. By learning to watch these physical sensations directly, you totally bypass your mind's story about the emotion, and you start to relate to it as just pure moving energy. And that map, that leads to maybe the single most important practical shift you can ever make. From the time we're kids, we're taught to say, I am angry, I am sad. That language fuses our entire identity with a passing emotional state. It's like looking at a single dark cloud and saying, I am the cloud. The shift, the freedom, it comes from changing the language and the perception to, I am the consciousness that is aware of anger. You see the difference? The sky is aware of the cloud, but it is not the cloud. The anger is a temporary energy pattern, a storm you are witnessing in your body. It is happening within you, but it is not you. That simple shift is the beginning of real freedom.
The sutras then give us this beautiful ultimate reframe, Nartaka Atma. The self, the true you, the core consciousness is the dancer. Life, with all its thoughts, feelings, sensations, all of it, that's the dance. A beautiful, cosmic, always changing dance. But then, just when you think you've got it, it delivers one final mind-bending twist that changes absolutely everything.
This is the final revelation. We think that we're a tiny dancer on this vast, infinite stage of the universe. The sutras say we've got it completely 100% backwards. The entire universe you perceive, the stars, the mountains, the room you're in right now, this screen, is just a tiny reflection happening on the retina of your eye, processed by your brain. The entire stage exists inside the dancer. Your consciousness isn't a small thing in the universe. The universe is a small projection happening within your vast, limitless consciousness. It's just like a dream. The world in the dream can feel huge and real, but it's all happening inside the mind of the dreamer. You are not in the world is in you.
Now, understanding this intellectually is one thing, but when you start to actually feel the truth of it, it doesn't just give you a neat little idea. It fundamentally changes everything about how you experience reality. The game just stops. The prison dissolves. Let's look at what actually happens when you make this shift.
Here's the core realization that brings it all home. Atma Chittam. The mind itself is the self. What this means is that even the chaotic, noisy mind, with all its anger and jealousy and fear and doubt, is not separate from this divine consciousness. It's all just a play of that one self. The disturbing thoughts are not an enemy you have to fight. The difficult emotions are not a mistake you need to fix. They're just clouds passing through the sky of your awareness. And this means there is nothing to fix, nothing to fight, nothing to suppress. All you have to do is witness the play. Just dance the dance.
And that realization leads to these huge practical transformations. So what happens? Well, you stop trying to control your thoughts, which is an impossible, exhausting war. Instead, you just get curious about them. Oh, look at that thought of worry. How interesting. You stop running from difficult emotions, and instead you learn to meet them where they live, as pure energy in your body. You breathe into the sensation, you witness it, and you just let it pass. And maybe most importantly, you stop that exhausting, endless external search for happiness, that chase for Sri, because you start to recognize your own inherent nature. It's the joyful, playful, luminous awareness of a child, what the sutras call Svatmananda Prakasa Vapuse. Let's try that one. Svatmananda Prakasha Vapuse.
It means your true form is the self-luminous light of your own bliss. It's your factory setting, just waiting for you to rediscover it.
The sutras describe our normal state of life as just walking in our sleep. We're dreaming that we are a limited, separate, suffering person, and we're completely unaware that we are the vast, free consciousness in which the entire dream is happening. This text, these ideas, they're not just information, they're an alarm clock, and it's ringing loudly. The choice is whether you hear it. So the only real question left to ask yourself is, when are you going to stop hitting snooze?